Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Keep It Open podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Mitchell.
And today we are joined by a close friend of mine, Angel from New Orleans. We haven't actually caught up in quite a long time, but Angel has started a candle business called Blow Me Candle out of Los Angeles, California. Angel, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Woo, woo, woo.
Awesome. So the first thing I need to bring up is it's so weird for me to call you Angel.
I feel like everyone is torn between obviously Angel or Kitty. Obviously Kitty, well,
you have two personalities.
I know.
Please
and
explain.
It's starting to come up because when I moved to LA, I was like, all right, let me just use my name and be wholesome. And so people who know me from like here and over there, they just like call me two different things. But Kitty comes from Kitty Cash, which was my DJ name. You're still in my phone as Aaron, like Comrade Youth. So
it's so funny. You're still in my phone as Kitty Cash with a $sign. Like actually,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Silo, like it's crazy. It's like a time warp, right? Like
I know. I'm like, do you still DJ? Do people still call you Comrade Youth?
No, not really. Every now and then, like I might get like a SoundCloud DM or like a Twitter DM or something, like because some of my handles are still the same. But I really leaned into like streaming on Twitch more, and I have a whole different handle called Papa Bless for all of that.
I love it.
So now instead of getting called Youth or anything like that, I just get called Papa, which is a little weird.
Who are you? What are all these secrets?
Papa Youth.
Papa Youth. Exactly. That's the new title. Yeah. So Mitchell, to bring you up to speed, I went to college in New Orleans and I met Kitty Cash and Silo. These alternate personalities. Yeah. In New Orleans, they worked at a nightclub. I worked at another nightclub that was kind of in the same area, and we started kind of just getting the same circles. And they used to throw a lot of events. I would DJ for them. We hung out quite a bit, and so it's been
cool.
Yeah, great times, great memories. But it's been a while. So, Angel, if you want to kind of just, I know it's probably a super long story, and we could sit here for hours and hours. But when did you start the candle business?
So Tuesday, just last week.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, that's amazing.
Honestly, actually, just a year ago, Blow Me turned August 18th. So
happy birthday!
Yeah, I know she's
Congrats.
a Leo.
You've done a lot in a year.
Yeah, so it's crazy because everyone's like, "Oh, have you been making candles for years?" And I'm like, "No, I literally told Silo that when we moved out here July, and I started this August because there was not much shit to do. We were like on lockdown during COVID, and I was like, I honestly want some nice candles, but I don't want to pay $40 for a fucking candle.
Yeah, because that's insane. Why would you? That's,
so I'm like, I'm gonna make it myself. I know, and now I'm being the overachiever that I am.
Of course,
I turned it into a whole fucking business.
And I'm not surprised. The two of you, like you guys were always go-getters in New Orleans, so this is amazing. So we moved out here to do our own thing, so it was perfect, perfect timing. But it kind of took off. I don't remember how I exactly came up with the name, but I was like, it would be hilarious to call the company Blow Me Candle. I love it.
And Silo went and looked up like the trademark and everything, and it was available. So he bought it. Yeah,
which is crazy because you think someone would go for that.
I'm like, how is Blow Me?
Someone had it, but it expired.
It expired.
Someone had it and expired.
Yep.
And I'm like, how is Blow Me Candle not a thing? So we got that trademark.
I love it. That's so good. And to go along with that, you've named the candles really, in a really great way.
They're all silly.
Yes,
funny.
it's perfect.
Give us some examples. Give us some examples.
Our top seller is Milk and Honey and Lots of Money, which is my fave. But we also have like Morning Wood, Thorny for You.
This is gonna be Morning Wood right here.
Yeah,
I burn it.
What did I say? Which ones did I send you? Morning Wood.
We've got Sandal with Care and Go Smudge Yourself.
Yeah, so those are
they're amazing
too. But I always try to come up with.
So Mitchell, we've got some unreleased scents. So we're cool like that. Yeah.
Wow.
But
Aaron
guys,
got first sniffs.
Yeah. So if you want to check out how the packaging looks and everything like that, I'll have a nice little picture for you guys on Twitter and Instagram. But this is the Morning Wood. It's awesome. It even comes with a little box of matches that says "Blow Me." It was awesome, and a bunch of really cute stickers. The stickers are my favorite.
So I draw those myself.
I had a feeling. These are
so
good.
I draw all of those. Well, I make all of them myself.
There's like a little ice cream cone. Like, they're so adorable. I love them. And that's another thing. I wanted to give you props. Like, the branding is just incredible. I think this is my favorite one. It's the little mushroom person.
The mushroom. Did I give you the duck? I love the duck one too.
Yes, the duck with the knife.
Don't duck with me.
Don't duck with me. Yes. And
that's
Mitchell,
really cute.
I'll share some of these with you as well.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it in person yet, so I'm excited.
It's great. So, Angel, I almost called you Kitty.
Like the obviously graphic design background, which has helped me be able to do this completely. Like, if I had to pay someone for branding and packaging and everything,
it would be absolutely.
Yeah, it would be impossible. So it's like really hard to start a small business, not being, I guess, multifaceted and knowing how to do all of it.
Definitely.
From the beginning, did you guys start selling online first? And then you just now opened a brick and mortar, right?
Yeah. So people always ask me, they're like, did you start on Etsy or anything? And I actually I didn't do Etsy. I just created a website. And at first it was a lot of just friends buying it, like everyone back in New Orleans at home, a lot of friends and like family. But I did start on like Instagram and kind of going like heavy on social media, and it kind of just like blew up from them. But I was making everything out of my living room, like in the living room, on the floor, on the table, boxes everywhere.
It's incredible.
Yeah, but I that got old quick because I was like, I want to live in my house, not have it as like, I mean, it would look like this, but in your home. So we knew we would need a studio space eventually because I can only make like so many, in that space. So it was very like limiting.
You had to expand.
I had to expand, especially starting to do like wholesale and things. So we weren't heavy looking, and we kind of like came across this spot, and it was, the stars aligned and we ended up in here. But my goal for brick and mortar, which opened up just July. My goal for this place was kind of to do like an open bakery. So you walk in, and I have in the front is like my baked goods, my candles that I've made, but you can also see me creating like on the back end too.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I don't really like hide anything,
I need to come visit. So where exactly is the store located?
So it's in Santa Monica, in Ocean Park, 202 Bicknell Avenue. We're literally 2 blocks like from the beach.
Oh my
Sometimes
God.
we just walk.
Wow.
I know, it's so beautiful.
That's
I love
incredible.
this area. It's so pretty.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah. And I also have to bring up, of course, I moved to Austin. Like,
I was like, what happened there?
Right as you guys moved to LA.
I know.
Oh my God. Yeah. So obviously COVID was very, difficult. I lost my job and I was streaming full time, and it was just a very difficult situation. And I found a job opportunity in Austin and I took it.
Austin is blooming though. Everyone's over there. Yeah.
So many people are in Austin.
Yeah. Everyone's like leaving for Austin.
Yeah. And
it's like the new LA.
Exactly. And like, I don't know. I like the South, like, spent a lot of time in New Orleans and stuff like that. So I don't mind being back down here with that comfort food that makes me pack on the weight. But
I know. I feel I haven't had like fried food much out here.
I know,
and I realized how they don't fry a lot of things.
Don't fry food in LA. And you're like,
is that just because everybody's trying to
everyone's just beautiful. Everyone's just gorgeous.
Everyone's just on keto and
it's terrible.
How much kale is sold in LA?
Can we get the metrics? Can someone get the metrics for us?
Yeah, it's probably the epicenter.
Yeah, no, the minute I came down south, I went and I got some fried chicken and some barbecue, and I was like, I missed this.
Dude, I want Cane's so bad. Like,
there's one right next to my house. So if you guys come come down to visit, we will go right to Cane's.
Well, Aaron and I were planning this, and he was going to Cane's yesterday.
Yep, I was at Cane's yesterday. Yep.
I'm scared to get like fried chicken over here, like Popeyes. Is it the same? I don't know.
No, it's not.
No,
if you guys remember the taste of NOLA Popeyes, You will be pissed if you go to Popeyes in Los Angeles. I remember I got it like once or twice, and both times I was like, this is a disgrace.
Oh God.
I was just like smothering it in blackened ranch to like make it edible.
Yeah.
That is wild.
That thing is my computer.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, I'm like, I don't clearly know how to use anything. Silo got this new fancy iMac, and I'm trying to use it.
Nice.
So, Silo, do you want to jump in the camera for a second? Come over here, man.
Yeah.
We keep referring to you, but
yes. So this is Silo.
There we go.
Yeah, there's a dynamic duo. So
I'll go here.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Go to messages.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a grandma. Jesus Christ.
And then, go ahead and take sound effects off. There you go.
All right.
Awesome. Hey, man. How you been?
Not much, tech support, employee of the month over here.
This is my next question.
Other employee I have.
Yes, that was my next question. So is it a 2-person operation?
Yeah, dude, I have the most important job of all. I stick the warning labels on the bottom of the
There you go. See,
he's my delivery guy.
He's the delivery guy. And look,
and I make the wicks.
This right here, all Silo.
That's all him. All him. Not the front label though. Yeah. He hasn't moved up yet.
Yeah, I make the wicks and I build the boxes,
Yep.
So.
He helps me a lot, honestly.
That's incredible.
I don't let him make any of the candles. That's not his department.
I'm like, come on, we got to drop that lasagna candle right now.
He's not allowed.
There's
a cocaine stripper scented candle yet?
Someone has asked for that. They're like, do you have a candle that smells like
hilarious.
Well, Angel,
and regrets?
I don't know if you remember, but he did make me a generous offer to join you guys and a commensurate salary in pesos. Yeah, 5 pesos an hour. Yeah, it's a competitive offer.
Yeah. He's the reason why I have this. Can you pass me that candle? We have a candle called Baguette About It.
Oh my God, yes.
That smells like French bread.
Ooh.
And pretty much.
Forget about it.
Yeah, baguette.
That's amazing.
Say it with a New York accent when you like this.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Hey, forget about it.
But yeah.
How did you develop that scent?
I love the smell.
How do you capture the bread smell?
That's a great question.
It smells like yeasty, I guess. I guess it could also smell like beer, someone said. But I like the smell of bakeries, but I don't really eat a lot of bread. But this guy loves.
I love bread.
Baguette. Yeah. He loves bread.
That's what somebody from LA would say.
Damn.
So I guess
it's only been a year.
I guess I know. Well, listen, LA takes hold quick. It really does.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm already like, what part of town are you in? I don't want to drive.
So me and my buddies, when I first moved to LA, I learned about a phrase called GUD, G-U-D, geographically undesirable.
I love that. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
The in front of all the highways.
The 405.
Yeah. Yes. And another thing, the traffic. I can't. I never want to go back to that. Never want to go back to the traffic in LA. That's why I just try to avoid. Yeah, it's the 405 that's so bad, but it's rough.
We pretty much don't leave our area. I'm so glad we live also in Santa Monica because it's like a 6-minute drive to work. I'm like,
that's a dream.
I don't want to leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So to Mitchell's
Austin
traffic. It can be bad in downtown, and this weekend it's a little rough because the holiday weekend everyone's driving around and doing stuff. So
barbecue and going to creeks and shit.
Yeah, so the traffic's a little bad right now.
That was spot on.
But you guys know me, I sit in front of my computer, right? I'm at the bar or I'm at my computer, so I don't really drive too much.
Bluegrass and some dirt.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess to Mitchell's earlier question, how do you develop the scents? What does that process actually look like?
So it's a lot of trial and error. It's smelling a bunch of good stuff and then a bunch of garbage and figuring out what you like and things like that. I like picking scents that kind of trigger a memory. I love when someone's like, oh my God, this smells like my, grandma's pumpkin pie or like one I have is just like Fruit Loops because that was the cereal, you know, me and my little brother ate when we were kids, but I like triggering like, I guess, a memory of some sort. So
how is that actually, is it an oil or what actually holds the scent?
So it's fragrance oil. So you can purchase all kind of oils. You could mix it with essential oils, but it's pretty much like, I guess, extracted oils from different things.
So what gets you to the baguette? Like a yeasty oil or
so
what kind of oil is that?
So this one has notes. Hold on, let me grab. Actually, I don't have it. So this one has like, you can basically set a base note. There's always a base. I don't know if you guys have looked at candle notes, but there's like a base, a middle, and like a top. So it is kind of like layering different oils. But for the Forget About It, it's like yeasty. And then kind of like, I'll use this as an example because it's right here. There's more on it. So this is Basic Witch. Nice. This is our like, the basic bitches love their pumpkin spice.
100%.
I'm bitches.
It smells good.
Bitches.
It smells good.
The Starbucks.
I am looking really LA right now.
I love it. I love it.
It's like 65 degrees. She wants a jacket.
Yeah.
65 degrees. I miss it. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, is that bad over there? It's hot.
Over 90 every day.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Yeah. So this one has different notes. This one has like pumpkin pie, nutmeg, clove, vanilla, coffee. So this one I mix like a scent that is a pumpkin pie and I pour in like coffee, and I've just messed with the ratio enough to, I guess, give you a similar like pumpkin spice latte kind of scent.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so how does
the wax is? Oh, thank you. Yeah. So the wax is unscented, right? And then
so the wax
mix that when it's hot.
Yeah. So I use soy wax.
Oddly smells like fish.
Yeah, it's just a box probably. It says it smells like fish. It doesn't smell like. Don't tell people that.
I mean, it's weird smell.
It does. Well, it's supposed to smell like nothing, but it is soy and it is natural.
Right.
So it gives off its natural, not the best smelling.
Listen, the candles smell great, guys. Okay, they don't smell like fish. All right, like
this is why his department
smells incredible.
Is in shipping.
Incredible.
But yeah, so it's all natural soy wax, and then I do pair them with wood wicks, which I prefer over cotton wicks. I don't know if you guys have ever had a wood wick candle, but you get that like campfire crackling vibe. It burns so clean.
It adds a more tactile experience.
It does. It's almost like vinyl, you know, like listening to vinyl.
That's a great comparison. I love that.
I know.
That's
I
awesome.
just thought of that. I need to write it down.
You have to. You have to.
But yeah, how you get those warm like pops in a when you're listening to vinyl, it's like the same thing with the candle.
Absolutely. It makes it a much more meditative experience, I find.
Yeah, I like it. And I don't know if I'm like a, crazy about fire now, but I love the sound of like a burning.
So, Silo, I think you just got promoted to safety, and you're the chief safety officer now.
There it is.
I would not put him in charge of safety.
I'm gonna need to see a sign on the wall there. 0 days without injury. I'm gonna be checking up on you guys.
The warning label, remember?
Yes,
the warning
that's true. That's true. He's already in the department.
Yeah, he's got it. He's slapping the warning labels on.
This is incredible.
But yeah, it also burns cleaner and like kind of slower. It is natural wood. Sometimes the cotton wicks are soaked in like different things to help it like hold a light. So, when you burn in, you get a lot of that like black soot. You don't really get with this. So they're a pretty clean candle. They're like pet friendly. I make sure, people can burn it around their pets and things like that.
That's good, because the minute I unboxed mine, my cat went right for the boxes.
Yeah, they're pet friendly.
Yeah, he was smelling them up and down.
He probably likes the smell.
He did. Oh, he 100% did. Yeah.
Give him the lasagna candle.
Exactly.
I've never thought about candles this much, actually. Now, I'm actually curious though. When you burn a candle, I've never thought about candles this much in my life till today. But
no, you guys.
When you burn it, the wax lowers, right? Like, let's say it's a glass container.
Yeah.
Is that because is there a lot of water in there that's burning off? Or like, why is the wax compressed?
Kind of when you heat anything, or when you're like, cooking things, it shrinks. It's just evaporating into the air, and that So basically the wax comes solid. Let me just, I guess, explain the process.
Yeah, please.
The wax comes solid. I have to melt it down to a certain temperature. And then I'm kind of just like eyeing the temperature. You want to pour in like all the fragrances at a certain temperature so that those molecules bind with the wax. Molecules.
Interesting. Yeah.
If it's too cold, sometimes those molecules don't bind and you get like just the oil will end up separating from it. So I don't know if you ever had a candle that's kind of like sweating or you see like some oil spots.
Yeah, definitely.
They didn't completely bind. That could be
my Walmart candles do that. So.
Yeah. But like that's kind of a fire hazard because imagine like a seep of oil and the fire.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to pour it at a high enough temperature, but you don't want to also pour it at a too high temperature because then you're burning out all of your fragrance.
Right.
Because as it's cooling, it's still releasing fragrance. That's why I tell people, when they burn their candle, like you don't need to leave it on for like 5-6 hours. You could just burn it for like an hour, blow it out. Because as the wax is cooling, it's still releasing scent. And that's really going to prolong the life of your candle instead of just letting it burn through. You can kind of extend it like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, pretty much when you are burning it, it's kind of going off into the air and giving off those good smells.
So you've really gotten like a
went
chemistry degree.
Yeah, it's also science. Yeah, it's definitely a science.
Okay, so if anyone knows me, they know I hate math, but candle has there's so much freaking math, like oil percentages, ratios, and I'm like, I should have paid more attention in school.
Well, it's funny though, because when you look at it from a creative perspective, like music is very heavily math based. Like DJing is math based. Like matching time signatures and counting beats. It's all divisions and fractions. And so it's funny because I also hate math, and you could ask me a very simple math equation and I will go to my calculator and do it.
Same.
I am so bad.
I'm so pathetic. I have to keep track of like my labels and I'm like, okay, I use 24 labels and I have 236. I'm like, I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing it.
I'm not particularly good at math, but sometimes I'm like, what?
My math is I don't know. I'm like the one Asian that's horrible at math.
Yeah.
But I think that the interesting thing is that when it's for a creative pursuit, right? Like, or if it's it's something that you've become passionate about, like it's a necessary evil, it's a labor of love, right? Like it's like, all right, I have to do it. You just
have to do it. It needs to be done. I still write like in a notebook, like by pen and paper, like an old grandma with on like my formulas and stuff. And he's like, why don't you put it in the computer? Obviously, I could hardly.
Are you whipping out the quadratic formula?
Yes.
In your,
please don't.
For the candles.
Which is crazy because my brother and dad are both math teachers. So.
Oh my God! Really? I did not know that. Wow.
He's gonna watch this and be like, "You're shameful."
Wow, this is crazy. It is a process, and the space that you have behind you, it looks incredible. So did you and Silo design the whole space yourself as well, and do all the painting and the furniture and everything yourself?
We did do everything. I wouldn't say he designed it, but he definitely put all the
right.
Jesus,
yeah.
Listen, dude, you did not design a woman's space.
What I mean by that. He moved it in. He moved the stuff. He moved the stuff around.
Where do you want it?
Yeah, you said it there and there.
Compromise, right? Like you make a few compromises living with a woman. Number one is you don't design anything. You're lucky if you get to pick your speakers, and that's where I'm like, all right, I got a PS5 and my speakers, and this is my space. This is it.
This is my zone. This is what I've got.
But yeah, he's in charge of sound.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay.
It does sound nice in here. So
nice.
Awesome. So I guess my next question is, you said you're doing some wholesaling. You have your brick and mortar location. You have a website, correct? And the address is it's just blowmecandle.com?
Blowmecandle.com.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm going to make sure I got that correct. And so talk to me a little bit about the wholesaling. Are you in any major chains? Are you just kind of in the Los Angeles area?
Yeah, we're just giving blowjobs out to any company that'll.
Awesome. Hey man, listen, that's how you go. That's how you climb the ladder, right? That's how you climb the ladder.
But
I'm assuming that's his department. That's his department too.
He's about to be fired. I'm just kidding. But we are actually all over this state. Actually, I'm in a few other countries as well. Like we have grown so much. So I do wholesaling through this company called Bulletin. It's so awesome now. I also purchase things like from Bulletin. There's another site called Fair. I'm not on there, but they make it so easy for small shops and boutiques to really like, just go through and buy what they want and not have like a middleman. But anyways, I do wholesale through them, but I also have a lot of places local. Like I said, most of it is a bunch of like boutiques, small shops. What was the country? I've sent to like Canada. I have someone interested that wants to carry like in Ireland, which is great. It's so crazy.
That's insane.
Seeing the map like on my site get like checked off of like places that I've sent things to. Kuwait.
There you go.
Kuwait was like a big,
oh my gosh.
I know it's so crazy. I'm
before you know it, you're gonna
candle.
Y'all are gonna be in Dubai driving Lamborghinis. I'm gonna be like,
literally. I looked up.
You can't even drink in Dubai.
I know, right?
Oh, really?
You gotta do it for the gram. But I'm also so I have this brick and mortar, but I'm also in Orange County at Main Place Mall. This place is called Open Market. So they have a bunch of, it's like open air for other small businesses, which is really cool because you can shop small all under one roof. But yeah, there's a long list of places. So
that is incredible.
It's growing. Awesome. I'm very thankful.
Yes. And so going along with that idea of expansion and how much you guys have grown in the course of a year, when you started this, did you have any idea? I mean, it's a generic question, but did you have any idea this is where you'd be?
Absolutely not. Actually, when he went and got the trademark, I'm like, why are you doing that?
Every step of the way, she's been like,
I don't know. I'm very like
been minimizing it to a certain point. And I'm like, all right, look, so at a certain point before we got the brick and mortar and like right around the time we moved into our second apartment here, and she was really ramping it up because there's like more space. She could get more. She started doing like the beginning of wholesales. Like she got in her first shop before she was on any website or anything. Like, I'm like, you don't really get to dictate the speed of your growth anymore. Like the people do. Right. And because of that, you can't just up and quit tomorrow. Like you can't just be like, I'm done. Like
it's
you're
too
fucked.
late.
You crossed the point of no return.
Like so you kind of have to like you have no choice but to invest into it because otherwise you're just gonna find yourself swamped or it's just gonna go stale.
I guess it's just so crazy because I like started this. I did for fun. It was nice to brand for myself since we do it for other people. So it was very like freeing, and I think that's why people like took onto it so well. It's just the business is pretty much me, like just silly and stuff. But yeah,
and that comes through. I gotta say, like that really comes through in the name of the candles, the sense of the candles, the stickers, the just the overall visual branding. Like you definitely, in my opinion, like channeled like yourself into it, and I think it's awesome that you guys are doing it as a couple and as partners. I think that also is something to throw out there because that's it's impressive, right? Like relationships themselves, like.
Yeah, we actually work really well together. Oddly, I know like people that are family or couples usually fight. I mean, don't get me started, but I say we get along pretty well. We know like when to leave each other alone and kind of work in our own space. But
I just met her Tuesday.
That's interesting. My parents do the whole small business thing. They own a UPS store, and they they've been in it for a long time, but they fight all the time. Like
it's hard to work with like family or just like people close to you.
Yeah.
I don't think we get into just arguments for the most part in general. Yeah. We kind of hacked that out in like the first like year of dating. We both have like our own modes and like we're pretty good. I think we're both pretty independent people. So like even if we're in the same house, like we're usually separate and then like just meet up in the
I guess we're both not needy, and we also like enjoy our alone time. So we'll be like in the same room but opposite corners doing like
there's
two
like
different
two
things.
Completely different freaking music's playing. like I'm waking up to like Project Pat, and she's like, oh, she's listening to some indie, and then I'm over to EDM, and she's like, I'm listening to some rap. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, we always like rotating.
That sounds great, actually. And you guys have been together now for, oh my god, like.
I'm losing count. It's at least
so that's like
6 years. The dog's about to be 6 years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years.
Silo's like, wait, I thought it was 4 days. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And to build something like this,
for life.
You're never getting out of this, man. I'm sorry to break it to you. You said, you can't walk away from it now. You've reached the point of no return. You're in too deep, man.
I've activated Sugar Mama plan.
Exactly. But no, truthfully, I think it's so awesome. And when I saw your Instagram, Angel, and I saw all this branding, I was like, wait, what did I miss? I was like,
yeah, when did you see it? I
think I had texted him. I was seeing if he was in LA.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, how's it been? I'm like, good, man. My girl started this freaking this candle company.
I think when people hear candle company, they don't, I guess they're like, oh, you make candles for fun on the side. Like, no, this is a whole ass business.
Listen, I will not downplay it. When he said we started a candle company, and I fully expected everything I saw on the Instagram. I was like, oh, they started a company. And I knew it because
company.
Yeah, I had no doubt, because you guys ran all different types of parties in New Orleans. You guys were always that kind of like dynamic duo couple that was always doing stuff, getting people together. So I had no doubt that like when I went to your Instagram page, it was going to be legit. But holy shit, it was legit. I was like,
it's just so crazy. Like I just never expected. If you even told me like just 6 months ago that I was going to be like in this space in the brick and mortar, I would have been like, whatever. I mean, he said it all the time, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's interesting too, like you said, because you guys are kind of independent. You have your own different kind of like modes and stuff like that. So like for you, you're kind of almost in denial about the success, and for him, it's almost like you have a little bit of an outside perspective looking at her success. Like, no, this is real. Like,
I guess when you're like in it, you forget when you have your head down and working. You forget to like step out.
Yeah, you're in the weeds.
Yeah, you're in the weeds, or you just forget to like look how far I guess you've come.
I feel like, so you know how like everyone has that friend that like you have to convince them that it's their idea before like they do something,
right?
Even though like you're like, this is what we're doing, dude, but let me go through the whole charade of convincing you that this is what we're doing. With her, it's very much like that. Like, so for the whole first year up until the day of her like company birthday, we spent $0 on ad spend at all, and the entire time I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this is gonna happen, but it just never did until that day when she was open to it. But like I'm already like looking at ads right now on a bigger scale, and it's like, for at least for like the first 4 or 5 times that I mentioned this to her, she's like, I don't really need that. I'm like, no, we need it because like your online growth is going to grow, but we need like our local growth to grow also, because like you want
like
that
the back
second,
end,
third
like
spot.
he's the back end. I'm like, I have these candles I made.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Like you've got business over here.
Right. I guess that's just me as a person too. Now I'm like coming to terms about like, where the success is headed or where it will be. But I guess it felt very like boasty to be like, yeah, I'm going to be in a space with a big brick and mortar and everyone's going to carry. Like, that's not me. Like, you know?
No, you know what? That's true. It's like, it's that's not you. But at the same time, I think it's important to own your success. And girl, you're doing it. You're doing it.
I'm trying. I'm doing
it. Anytime you have like a project that takes off though, you're just likely to have a little bit of imposter syndrome. And so
absolutely.
Like no one ever is like, yo, my song's hitting, like, and be like, yo, I'm gonna make it there. It's like, holy crap,
Right.
Yeah, it's always like, oh my god, like is it real? People are actually listening to it, or they're buying it, or
that's how I feel. I'm like, people want this thing that I made. Thank you.
What's crazy is, at least in design, and I'm sure in music too, this happens. And not so much on the candles, but to a small extent. Like I feel like sometimes it's like, damn, that's the worst thing I made too.
Right.
Why is it
It's a I feel like it's a creative mindset.
It is.
Comparing it to design, like sometimes you give a client 3 different logos and they pick the one that
you hate.
You hate the one you hate.
That's happened so many times with music. Like my graduation project from Icon Collective, everyone really liked the last song, like the 3rd song in the EP, and I was in love with the 2nd song, and I was like, why the fuck why does this one have 30,000 plays and this one has 12,000? That's bullshit.
Does anyone have taste?
Yeah, like come on guys, really this is easy.
Yeah,
but that's incredible.
Are you producing music still?
So
stuff?
I'm on a little bit of a hiatus from making music. During COVID, I went into streaming really hard because like obviously everyone was quarantining, and like I was kind of running a studio out of my bedroom in LA, and I actually had a few rappers. I can put like Spotify links to you guys so you can listen to some of the stuff. I was doing a lot of production for rappers, creating beats for them, recording like vocals, editing, processing, mixing, mastering, the whole thing. And then when COVID hit, it was kind of like, I don't want to just have like people going into my space, like multiple.
Breathing in your bubble.
Yeah, and then I had roommates as well in the condo, so it was like there's other people to consider. So it became really difficult, and so I started streaming, and luckily I was able to, make like actually like some decent money playing video games for a time, which was really cool. So I was doing Grand Theft Auto roleplay. So so if you guys have heard of like No Pixel.
No, but I've definitely watched some videos of people playing that.
Yeah, GTA roleplay. So yeah, it's like a whole nother world, and like everyone's playing a character, and there's actual people role playing as cops and doctors and lawyers, and like it's basically like acting in a TV show. Yeah, it is. And so I had like a cop character, I had a criminal character, like it was a whole thing, but it was a lot of fun, and I fell in love with broadcasting because it's similar to DJing and music. It's a creative thing, and you're in front of an audience, and you can do some really cool stuff with like the stream and the graphics and all of that, and I just really enjoyed like sitting down on my computer, going live, and being able to like hang out with people.
Is that how this bloomed?
It is a little bit. So to go into that, Mitchell and I are co-workers, and we were out at a happy hour. And
nice.
So in our Zoom meetings with coworkers, I have this extensive audio setup, like a condenser microphone and like all that stuff. And everyone's like, "You sound really good. You should do a podcast." And then me and Mitchell started talking about it, and he was interested.
We're like, "Yeah, we should do a podcast."
Yeah.
You're right.
That's a great idea. And we're both looking for kind of like a creative outlet and something to do in like our spare time. And back to the music thing, I'm going to start making music again. But I mean, I've been pursuing music since I was like 13. Like, so I think like, especially after
there's no going back. I mean, you got to do it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's like, I think it's just like I needed some time to like decompress from trying so hard to make something happen. Yeah. And when you really like when you settle on something and you just resistance at a certain point it's like, all right, gonna woosah, gonna step back and just experience life for a little bit, get some inspiration, and then so I still hear songs in my head, and I miss DJing and all that stuff, so it's like I'm gonna get back to it.
We definitely miss DJing. We haven't.
It's so fun.
Because everything was closed down until I think it was June 15th.
Yeah.
And open. We didn't really do it. And then we saw a few homies in town DJ, but they're like just now getting back in the groove. Yep. It's something that like I definitely like to revisit, especially here. But like my outlook in the last like 2 years has just changed so much as far as like what I do or like what I want to do, even graphically, or with like the candles, that is like at this point it's like, man, it's got to be the perfect vibe and the perfect pay, or if I like it that much, maybe no pay, I don't know, but like it's just got to be
pretty much. You're just saying we've just been like picking and choosing what to do, and
well, your time is a little bit more constrained now. You have a business to run. Yeah. So
we're back to the Saint days, though.
Oh my God. Can we talk about the Saint on here? I don't know if we can talk about the Saint on here.
Those walls have seen something.
If you know, you know. Yes. Oh my God.
The guy to ever get kicked out of Saint like 5 times.
Yeah, big shout out to Angus.
Yeah.
Bro, I just saw him on Facebook and he was like, he's like, yo, I'm alive, by the way.
Angus is the door guy at this dingy dive bar, by the way.
I'm alive and up and surviving. He's got like coolers full of like his like emergency kit. I'm like, this dude lives in a bunker.
He's literally, Angus is so badass. Yeah. So Mitchell, to give you some background, the Saint is like a locals only dive bar in New Orleans. It's the dive bar.
Grimy. It is
grimy. Like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, you just have to experience at some point.
I love it. Yeah.
Like there's like fiberglass, like insulation, like
probably like
asbestos down on you,
like cockroaches on the floor, like actually, but it was like the spot. Like everyone in New Orleans, from the entertainment industry, the film industry, I mean, like pretty much every industry, like that was the late night spot. Like if you were out on the weekend, you were there. Past
that was also
2 a.m.
the spot where you could literally play any type of music
and people would dance.
And people from like all sorts of industry, like just it didn't matter who you were.
I played Meredith Brooks, like "I'm a Bitch," that song.
Yeah,
I played that, and it was like I was like, "Fuck yeah,
let's go." I remember
like, I was like, "Bop is popping right now."
Right, dude? So many good memories, man. Just like I just remember, like, you know, like all of us and like G-Eazy before he blew up, and Rob Epps and like everybody, and like just girls twerking on the bench behind us, and I'm like trying to DJ, and I got like ass cheeks slapping me in the face, and I'm like, there's just booty. Oh, no. And
it's such an amazing feat and accomplishment that we all drove home.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I was completely sober.
In the car.
For the record, I was completely sober. But completely. So I think my favorite game was to try to get Angus to say something. Because that was like my mini game. Whenever I would go,
real quiet dude or something,
just stoic, just complete stone face.
What are those guys? What are those guys in like France that just stand up?
Like the Buckingham Palace. Like
the guards.
That's what he's like.
Okay, I got
it. Once he does start talking to you, it's like it's constantly, you know, like he does it all the time. But it took a while. It was crazy. My first real conversation with Angus was like, I just didn't have an ID for like months, bro. I lost it. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking DMV.
Yeah, screw that.
But I'm going to the Saint. Like, I'm doing it. And they're like, no way you're getting in. I'm like, so I was like, oh crap, the pressure's on. I'm already here.
I'm doing
it. My friends are already going inside. I'm like, y'all go inside. I got this.
Well, after we DJ'd a couple of times, he was like, all right.
Right. Well, I cracked my fingers before we even DJ'd. I cracked my fingers. I got ready. And I'm like, dude, I'm old enough. Like, ask me anything from my childhood. I'm like, I don't know what my favorite show was in the 80s. Like, go for it. He's like, who's the president when you were born? And I'm like, fucking easy, Bush, bro. And he's like, what? And I'm like, oh, that was wrong. All right. But I'm like, here's something for you. Here's something for you. I'm like, I'm the baby from Dinosaurs, right? Bobby's World.
Okay.
I started listening.
This is how you're proving your age.
And then he's like,
just go inside. And that's
he was just done talking.
And that was his whole attitude. Is like he just kind of stare you down, and he'll listen to that whole thing. I'm just like, just go.
God damn it.
Yeah. And I just
after that it was good. I made enough of myself.
And he's actually a super nice guy. Like once you have like that relationship, like whenever I'd pull up to like unload my equipment and stuff, I'd be like, yo, Angus, and he'd just be like, yo. I was like, cool, I've made it. He said yo. He said yo.
He spoke to me.
He said yo. And then I don't know if he still does it because I don't really use Facebook, but every birthday he would post a pimento loaf on my Facebook wall. And he says, happy birthday, here's your pimento loaf or something like that. He's such a character, man. And I think it's so funny that like anyone that's spent time in New Orleans and has been a part of the Saint, like you say Angus, and they're like, I know exactly who that is. Like,
Well, that's like Sneaky Pete's and Crummel.
Dude, every time he takes a day off, people think he died.
Yeah, everyone's like, where the fuck is Angus?
Like every time. I'm not dead. All right.
It's like, I'm just not here. Chill.
My band just had a show tonight.
Yeah, I'm busy. People think he just lives at the Saint. Like he just sleeps in that little like room in between the door and the main room. Yeah, that little cubicle. He's like
he was just riding out the storm on his chair outside.
Yeah, with a guitar and a shotgun. Just. Oh man, such good times. Awesome. Well, okay, so we normally do this at the beginning of the show, and I'll let Mitchell ask the question, but I want you guys to join us for a little segment that we're going to be doing on every podcast called Is It Rude?
Damn.
Yeah, the inaugural one. So the one we wanted to say today.
Bro, you should like read books.
I know, right? That's a side hustle.
In that voice.
Yeah, right.
You should record audiobooks all with that voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you guys are in a store and you got something in your basket, you're about to check out, but then you realize you don't need it or you don't want it, whatever it may be. Are you the type of person to put it on a random shelf somewhere? Or do you go back and put it where it's supposed to go?
So the question, what he really wants to ask you is it rude to not put it back where you got it from?
It honestly depends how far the item may be located.
I see.
If it's just like right there, I'm gonna put it back.
Bro, you can call me Giuliani because I'm being rude as fuck. I'm putting that.
So you're chucking that shit on the side of the conveyor belt.
I try to put it back unless it's like way the fuck yonder. Then I'm like,
I only have one exception. My one exception is if it's something I got from a refrigerator.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what if you got ice cream, man? You throw that in there with the t-shirts.
I'm not that trifling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if it's frozen or cold, I'll put it back.
I might put the coconut water in a Coke spot, but it's getting in the refrigerator.
My favorite's when people like get chicken or something and then they don't want it and they throw it into like the drinks or whatever.
Yeah,
it spoils.
Yeah.
So I think general consensus is if it's frozen or refrigerated, you take it back. It's rude to leave that somewhere. Yeah. But if it's
but anything else, you can.
If it's like crackers or something, you can kind of just like and just keep on moving.
How will they know?
No one will know. No one will know.
Right in that home and garden section next to the lawn chair.
Exactly. Perfect.
Somebody's gonna be like, what are these cards doing?
Hey, but honestly, I've shopped and randomly saw a random thing and be like, hey, I want that.
Perfect.
Oh, you pick it up.
As long as it's not the chicken, okay? Like sitting on the shelf.
Something weirds me out about it being the only one.
Girls' bra department though.
He calls the fucking silicone like nipple covers chicken breasts.
They do. No, they do look like it.
He said they look like chicken breasts.
He's unsanitary.
Oh my God, that is incredible. Well, thank you guys for that insight. I think we're all in agreement here that it is rude to not put back frozen or refrigerated items of any type.
I'm judging you.
We're judging you. All right? Yeah. Don't be rude, guys.
Yeah. And put your fucking carts back in the spot.
Yes.
Oh, shopping cart. Don't put it behind people's car.
You tell so much about a person.
This is a two-part. Yes. It is rude.
You tell a lot about a person.
Yeah. Put your shopping cart in the little thing. Don't leave it on the little like bumper, or behind people's cars.
Behind people's cars. That's the
come
word.
on. That is the rudest thing ever. Yep.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement.
I will say there's some stores that don't have enough of those.
That's true.
Receptacles,
Mitchell, what are you trying to say here, bud?
I put it back while we're on air. I always put it back. But if
he's confessing something.
Parking lot.
You guys should check out Cart Knock on YouTube. This dude literally goes around.
I've seen it.
And freaking just honks at people and he's got a whistle.
Yell at them.
Yeah. And a crossing guard thing. He's like, yo, hey, put your cart back, sir.
That's incredible. I'm gonna need to watch that. That's awesome.
But he almost gets into fights. It's crazy.
God.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I need to watch that. That sounds like quality entertainment right there.
It is.
Good old trash TV.
Oh yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you guys for participating in that segment with us. It's going to be a fun one we're going to do every episode. So I guess, we can wrap this up relatively soon. I know you guys got a day, you got stuff to do. But before that, I guess I kind of want to round things out with What was this like, starting a business during COVID? What kind of challenges did you run into? And I'm sure there were a ton, but what was kind of like the most difficult things you dealt with, especially in COVID and opening a brick and mortar, let alone starting a business in that time span?
Well, definitely it's just a learning process. Like the whole thing, I wouldn't say like one particular thing is like harder than the others, because you kind of have to learn how to do everything. It is a lot. It's like, doing back end down to finances, ordering, like, organizing things. I feel like the organizing thing is like the back end stuff you don't see can be like really difficult, and just being on top of everything, especially when you're just like one person or, two people, like that's not a whole team. So you do have to juggle literally everything.
Yeah. And you do social media while making candles, while ordering boxes.
You're doing
like the hamsters are just on going. Adderall in my head.
Yeah.
Like just
I find myself always trying to give her like a reminder, and of the damn near being somewhat naggy to a certain point. I'm like, yo, we got this many wigs left. You got to order wigs.
I will say so. Starting from like ground up is like, financials is a thing. Like having money to, of course, I would love to bulk order like a bunch of glass, but when you're first starting out, you can only do so much because you only have so much, and you're not turning as big as you'd like to order initially. So it is being realistic with yourself and like what you can do at that moment. But you're going to grow. Like I used to order just like maybe 12 glasses at a time when I was starting out. And now I just put in an order for like 3,000. So
you have to estimate your growth too, because like as soon as you order, 500, the very next one, you're already like knocking on 750. And like, like right now, I think we just got like 1,500 like glasses.
Yeah. And I immediately doubled it because I'm like burning through it. And I guess, because of the growth, it's hard to kind of judge sometimes like how much you need and things like that. But I mean,
there's just a really funny thing that happens too. Like she'll have like a scent that like is just sitting there for a while, right? And then as soon as she's like, all right, that one's good, I'm not going to make that one, I'll make all the other ones. All of a sudden, boom, one wholesale order. They just want the peach. And she's like,
so then you got to scramble.
It's just juggling a lot of things at once. And not that I would, trade it for the world. It's just, doing a lot, I guess, all at one time.
When people say that like having a business is like raising a kid, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It is nurturing it and giving it the things it needs to grow. Like it kind of is like, having a pet or whatever, except this pet's paying the bills. So
exactly. So hey,
that's awesome, guys. You guys are doing it.
And when we got into this brick and mortar, our only goal, keep in mind, I mean, when we signed the lease, everything was still shut down in LA. So you couldn't even like really
move in, and do anything.
Right. So our only, real goal for this place was like, if we can have the retail portion, like pay for the spot and pay for the expenses of the store, then online sales are 100%, hers.
Yeah. I try to make sure like we don't get in over our heads and everything is, kind of evening each other out and things like that. But very thankful for social media, to be honest, because Instagram definitely like just skyrocketed me and things like that. But it's literally, I've learned how to edit videos, having like business, but being the photographer, social media person, that's not even, including making the candles, shipping them, answering emails. So it's
a whole thing.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to tie into that, so do you think that you're nearing the point of growth where you're going to start hiring employees, or is that something?
So that's like, I'm not going to lie, that's something I'm like very fearful. I'm like scared of. Not so much. I'm just, I don't know. I am a perfectionist and like control freak. So I literally like, I rather do everything myself until I can't anymore. But I know I'm like very near the point
where it might be coming soon.
Yeah, it might be coming soon. And obviously for my own like mental state, I need to let other people help.
I think the hardest part there is going to be just really kind of her figuring out what it is she want the other person to do. And like the things that she'll do alone.
Right. It is like loosening up on, right. And it is like loosening up on some of the things that I do and just designating it to someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So especially from working with her on so many things, I know how like she is, and like if me, when I come in here, like I ask for specific tasks. I'm like, what do you need done? And like, I knock that out and that's it. For her to hire someone, she's definitely going to have to find someone that's kind of like that, because if you don't ask her, what can I do right now?
She's going to do it all.
Almost to the point where like what I do, I've streamlined it recently. Like I come in here like maybe 2 hours a day now. And I'm like, what do I need to do? Because I'm leaving after I do it, or I'm just gonna leave if I have nothing to do. Like, because if not, she'll be like, "Oh, I got it." I'm like, "No, bro, I'm here. Let me do it right now."
I'm working on it. I'm trying to like let go, which is hard for me. But I mean, I'm not like mad at it because it's what has gotten me here, because I do take on a lot. But it is a whole learning process of like having to let go of some things. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, it's incredible. And you guys, like, I am just so proud of you guys. And I hope you guys are, very proud of yourselves, because you guys.
I'm glad you reached out again.
Yeah, me too. And like, I know, we got to get together sometime. If you guys are like coming, I mean, I know NOLA is in a horrible state of affairs right now. And I've already, donated some money to different, organizations.
Do you have family back home still?
So they're all in Jersey. My mom, my dad's in North Carolina, my mom's in New York, so she's actually dealing with a ton of flooding.
Oh, the flooding from Ida. So crazy, right?
But she's good. Yeah, she's okay. But good. Yeah, I've been very concerned about the friends that we all have back in NOLA, and I've
it's rough.
I've been donating a little bit of money that I can to try to help. But I was saying, if you guys ever want to come down to Austin, maybe I'll fly out to LA. We got to catch up. It's been way too long.
Sure.
Way too long.
What's that breakfast spot that we always meet up here? What is it? What's the name?
I don't know. It was by his spot, I think.
Yeah, by where he used to live.
Yeah.
I was like trying to think of the
by
name
where I used to live.
Yeah.
Paper and plastic.
That's it. That's it.
They have a Reuben or something that you like?
Dude, they had it was a tuna melt that I loved.
The tuna melt.
Yeah, yeah. I think they probably took it off the menu, but I know it was so good. that's my New York Jew coming out, is the tuna melt.
I don't know how I feel about the warm tuna and the cheese.
Listen, it is so good. I will convert you.
I'll trust you.
Tuna melts are delicious. They're delicious. Shut up, Silo. Don't you stop.
I think we're on the same page now.
You're tainting it. Awesome. Well, listen, it was so good to talk to you guys and catch up, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us today.
No problem.
For everyone tuning in and listening, there will be a 15% off code here. Not quite sure where it's going to be yet. It'll be all over the place. It's going to be Leave It Open 15. Leave It Open 15. And that'll be for 15% off an online order for Blow Me Candle. Again, Angel, Silo, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Hey guys, Aaron here. Quick ad break. We're here on the Blow Me Candle website, and I want to give you guys a brief tour before we get back to the podcast. So here we can see all of the amazing scents that Angel has created. Go ahead and fill up your cart with milk and honey, lots of money, more espresso, less depresso, and the many other amazing scents. I gotta tell you, from firsthand experience, these are terrific candles. I already have 4 or 5 of my own. So we're gonna go with Stressed But Still Blessed. We're gonna add that to the cart with the promo code KEEPITOPEN15 at checkout. 15% off, guys. Go get your candles. Show them some love on Instagram and Twitter once you receive them. Take a picture, send a tweet. And don't forget to use the Keep It Open 15 coupon code at checkout. All right, guys, back to the podcast. So part 2 of today's podcast, guys, we're going to continue talking about entrepreneurship. We just heard from Angel and Silo with Blow Me Candle, and you just saw their website and the promo code. Go buy some candles, show them some love, guys. You'll get a 15% discount. Awesome. So Mitchell, we found a TikTok video the other day. Do you want to kind of take us through what that's about while I put it on screen here?
Yeah, and I'll say I'm not I'm not often on TikTok, but I do, it creeps into my life through YouTube.
It's unavoidable.
Instagram. It's unavoidable. Absolutely. So yeah, Aaron, you're going to pull it up, right, Aaron?
Yeah. I'm pulling it up right now.
The video was about sort of magnitudes of wealth. And so there's this guy showing basically the top of this chart, and on the left, the axis that he has dollar amount. Top of the chart is Jeff Bezos with, I don't remember how much,
190 billion,
hundreds of billions,
190
right?
billion.
190 billion, which as a human, that's hard to fathom, right? Billions is hard to fathom for us. And then, he points out a couple other people. He shows where I think Kanye West would be, which, I mean, about 99.99999% of people are poorer than Kanye West, right? And so he is only, what is it, a third up the chart, maybe?
Maybe a third.
Maybe, right?
Not even. Yeah.
And then you keep going down. He's got some other notable names. Like he talks about how everybody's under here. Kylie Jenner, Oprah Winfrey, anybody who's a billionaire, one billionaire, which an incredible feat.
Yeah.
Which arguable whether or not billionaires are really more, moral to be a billionaire or not. But then everybody else underneath, even, CEOs of large companies, everybody who, like Aaron, like probably you and I know, right? Like, I don't know. Anybody at that magnitude. And below is in this small little, sliver of the graph that is at the very bottom. And it's madness to say, if you're a millionaire, you're incredibly poor compared to these people, namely Jeff Bezos, but
mainly Jeff Bezos, but Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And I think, as we were kind of talking about when I sent you that video, when we found it, it's shocking to look at it on this graph. It's shocking to see kind of a representation of this wealth on a piece of paper like that, right? To see that, like, Kanye's maybe a third up the chart and everyone else is below that, and then these guys are just the majority of the piece of paper here, and that amount of wealth in comparison to the majority of the American people. And he even talks about how there's a percentage of the American people that are negative because of debt. Yeah. They're actually below the chart. They're off the paper.
Right. A good portion, like not even a small portion.
Yeah. And so I think that, he also makes a joke in it. And, when he says to tax the rich, Gary with the 3-car garage and the Peloton is like, you want to tax me? He's like, no, not you, dude.
Right.
Them.
Right.
The ultra rich. Yeah. The super rich.
And I've seen, like tax the rich, eat the rich, stuff like that. Is not,
it's not talking about
dad who makes
a couple million
$100,000 a year. Right? Or even a couple million. Right?
Even a couple million.
Not even that. No. We're talking about the top
billions,
100 people, or 100 people, not even a percentage here. We're talking the percentage is so small that it's inconceivable.
Right. And then you start really breaking down those numbers, right? So a million is, what is that? 1,000,000, right?
1,000 thousands. Yeah. Is a million. Yeah.
And then a billion is 1,000 million.
1,000 millions, which that is just, we think you can conceive it, but you can't.
And when you reach that number, when you actually start to think about the purchasing power that comes along with that, it brings me to Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin, and how the son of a billionaire booked a ticket for that flight
because his dad was busy or something, right?
No, so I don't actually know the reasoning. I don't think it came out, but it was a $25 million, $30 million ticket.
I can't remember, but something like that.
The tweet happened where the kid canceled. He canceled because of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, scheduling conflicts. Right.
I don't even know what to say to that. Like,
no, it's wild.
$30 million just out the window. Oh, sorry, I have a dentist appointment. Like,
right. What was it? What was it that rescheduled?
What's more important than a $30 million ticket to space, Mitchell?
I feel like it had to be. Do you think it was? It had to be more human related. Like,
it must have been
death in the family.
It had to have been something like that. Something serious. I would assume. I would assume. But who knows? I mean, when you live a billionaire lifestyle,
who knows? That could be pennies on a
I think I ran the math. And guys, if you're listening, I know I said it earlier in the podcast, I'm terrible at math, but I think comparatively, I did it when I heard this. $30 million to a billionaire, I think, is equivalent to $3,000. I think that's right.
To a millionaire.
To a billionaire. So like when you have the spending power of a billionaire, spending 30 million is like a normal person spending $3,000.
Right.
Like comparatively, like if I have a couple $100,000 and I spend $300, you know, it's like that ratio.
Right. What could you, I mean, you cannot spend even it's difficult to spend $1 million in like a day if you had one day to spend it. You know, you have to go through these contracts to buy large purchases, right? I mean, you could go buy nice cars and stuff, but could you know, in 24 hours, how many, you know, luxury vehicles could you buy?
Actually purchase? You
couldn't buy a house in a day. Like,
no, it's not possible. I mean, unless you just, you know, take $1 million out in cash or whatever it is and just go to the realtor's office and put the bag on the table and say, give me the paperwork, you know.
And
like,
even then, it'd be tough to get you the key in
a day. I mean, in 24 hours.
It's just the stuff does not scale in the world, right? Like, it's I suppose you could buy a purebred dog or something. That might set you back quite a bit.
Hey man, those things are getting expensive from what I've been reading.
I don't know much about that, but I have some friends who have bought some recently.
Well, I want a serval or a Savannah cat, and those things things are pretty expensive, man. They're a couple grand.
I hope if you ever get that, you've got to walk around on a leash or something.
100%. I will record that and put it on TikTok.
In the neighborhood or something.
I will put it on TikTok and go to the moon.
But you know, at the end of that video, and I see, I didn't even watch it because I saw it on the news, and he said something about like, thanks to all the Amazon employees and thanks to all the Amazon customers because you paid for this, basically. So something along those lines. I didn't even watch the full video because it just felt so weird. It
felt weird, right? Yeah,
really weird. And I don't know if the word's like slimy or just kind of sickening, because I don't know if I felt like that about it. It just felt odd when he said that.
I agree.
It felt like one of those dystopian movies or something. Where
Well, actually, that's where I wanted to kind of talk about. Have you seen the show on Netflix called Altered Carbon?
I have not.
Awesome. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen it, or for you, Mitchell. But to give you like a high level understanding of the show, it's a sci-fi series and it's set in the distant future. So I don't exactly remember, but I think a couple hundred years minimum from where we are now. And basically they have figured out a way to preserve consciousness in a digital piece of hardware. And a body is no longer like a special thing. They can clone bodies, they can manufacture bodies. And if you have the money, you can basically pay for data storage for your consciousness, backups of your consciousness. Literally like, you know, like on a computer, like you do a backup on your Mac or whatever, you can do that to your consciousness. And you can have a private satellite that every 30 minutes it's backing you up. And you can have a whole room that just has like 50 clones of you waiting in case something happens. So they just wake one up if you die with the most recent backup of your memories and your consciousness and everything. And so one of the philosophical things that's kind of brought up in that show is the ultra rich have, like you said, become immortal. They become demigods.
Right.
Their wealth has reached in that show the level of trillions, which is insane to think about.
Right.
And they can live forever. So the premise of the show is one of these godlike figures is murdered. And then, so he's lost a 30-minute window from the time that he was murdered and reincarnated. And so the main character is brought in to like investigate what happened. But that's kind of like where we're heading, man. A little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
With that massive gap in wealth and technology and like all that stuff.
There are aspects that all, I mean, like just in general healthcare treatment, right? Like you can, at that level of wealth, in a way it's the same, right? Of course it's absolutely different. We can't upload consciousness, but like if you can access the best healthcare in the world for any part of your body, any, you know, internal organ, external, whatever. Right. I mean, it's essentially the same. Like you're extending your life in a way that a not person just can't.
Possible to someone without that money. And so, you know, I think again, like coming back to that video showing the discrepancy of wealth, it's like, this is one of the only countries in the world where you can pretty much make money like that semi-legally. And there was a video I watched recently where, you know, some of the top CEOs like Jeff and others, they make in a day what a worker will make in a year, if not more.
If not more, right?
And that's insane. That's a really insane metric to try to wrap your head around. That, you know, beyond, that's not generational wealth at that point. That's
it is country level wealth.
That's country level wealth. Like
it is wild. And I'm still, I watch videos about it because it's interesting and stuff, but it's still hard to fathom and I guess wrap my head and then figure out what my thoughts are on how to like, and like, what do we even do with that info? You know, like,
right, exactly.
Because like we in this, we're sort of the you know, Jeff sees us. I love that we're, you know, calling him
Jeff. Hey, listen.
Look, he still puts his pants on.
He does. He's a human being. I mean, as far as we know, he's still human. As far as we know.
But you know, us as the sort of proletariats, if you will, you know,
sure.
we get angry about certain things, and we you know, we band together around fairly silly things usually.
Right.
And they're often, I've thought about this a lot. It's like often distractions from sort of that. Like there are people who are mad at Jeff Bezos for having that much wealth.
Right.
But is it arguable? Like, shouldn't we all be like, just, I don't know if angry is the word, but like, shouldn't we call for some kind of change there? Like if even that's possible, I mean.
So, you know, I personally do agree with you. And, you know, I know for anyone listening, we might be getting into some socialism type political discussion here, but I think it's important to have because, you know, America was built on capitalism. And at what point do you look at, you know, a financial structure and a socio-political structure that was created, you know, a millennia ago, whatever, and say, well, maybe this doesn't work anymore. Or maybe people figured out how to play the system in a way that's actually detrimental to the people of the country. And I think that there's something to be said for that, right? Where when a CEO, like at his level, is making in a day what one of his workers makes in a year, I mean, that's a discrepancy that I think as a nation, we have to look at and say, are we okay with that? Is that, you know, should it be uncapped like that and create such a massive disparity? Because then every entrepreneur, well, not every, right? Like Angel and Silo, they're very, you can tell they're very down to earth people, right? They're pursuing something that they're passionate about. It's fun. It's silly. They're making a living off of it. It looks like they're doing quite well, which I am so happy about. And that's totally different than, you know, some kid in college being like, I want to be the next Jeffrey Bezos. I want to have billions and billions and billions of dollars. Like, is that a negative thing to aspire to have that much wealth?
Yeah. I almost think it's it's a good question, but I almost think it's maybe the wrong question to ask because I think that it doesn't matter, I guess, how we feel about it or think about it as a country, right? What matters is what impact does he have? Can he start to alter laws, rules? Can he alter the planet with you know, whatever
with his
company?
Influence and that
as
power,
one person,
that the money
overstepping governments, overstepping again laws and rules and stuff. I mean how many laws have billionaires broken? Do they break all the time?
All the time,
you know,
all the time.
So
I mean, there's been all kinds of controversy about, you know, workers' rights with Amazon and all types of stuff like that, but you know, no one's gonna.
And I think that's the path to sort of not fix, if you will, or change this is we have to understand like what. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say catch him, but like, what is he doing that's changing the world? Like Amazon's footprint, has changed the world.
Oh, yeah.
Not just, you know, from a business perspective, but also environmentally, infrastructure. I mean,
day-to-day life. I mean, you know, it used to be like when I went to college, my mom and she was like, all right, we got to go to Bed Bath and Beyond. We gotta go get you like all this stuff. Now I'm pretty sure, like I would say for the most part, it's like, oh, I need a toaster.
So order it all on Amazon.
Oh, I need a new pair of headphones. Amazon. Oh, I need literally pretty much anything. I'll just go to Amazon and it'll be brought to me. And so, I think you're right. Like, what is the real impact of that? And what does that look like over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years?
Because, I mean, right now it's packages and it's toasters and it's shower curtains, whatever. But what if, but in 10 years, it might be private satellites. It might be internet connection for controlling infrastructure. It might be vehicles.
They own some of the largest server farms on the internet. AWS.
Right. Yeah.
So they provide internet.
Controlling that, you control, I mean, different parts of the infrastructure. And then, I mean, luckily they're on our side. Like we live in the United States,
the consumer, right?
And they're trying to serve us as a customer. But I mean, if another country with a less pure intention, not to say those intentions are pure,
sure.
but had that power, it's like, I don't know. Would the U.S. come in and try to stop that?
Right. And do people look at, do other countries look at Jeff Bezos' wealth and control and influence as, a danger? And
I think they do.
I think I think that's a fair statement because of how much influence he has and how much he controls. And I think you're right. That is the right question to ask 100%. And at what point do you start limiting that influence and that power and that reach? Because like you said, man, he's going to, in 10 years from now, it really could be, buying a satellite or, purchasing like an island or like who's to say what he'll be able to put up for sale through his platform. And that's scary. Right. Well, I mean, also let's even talk about this. There are a handful of people that have been to space. A good portion of them are trained astronauts. Like that is their living. It is a scientific purpose. The next people to follow, those heroes, those pioneers of the next frontier, are just rich people. Like, they just won the game. Like, and that's crazy, the fact that these rich people have made it to space before a colonization mission on the moon, like setting up basically a test colony for Mars, or, to see how things would go expanding beyond our planet. They beat us to that. And so I think that takes me to my next point, which is, and I've talked about this with friends for a while now, for years actually, is how can we not get the money to really work on those projects? Like Jeff Bezos and SpaceX and like, Richard Branson and all this stuff, they made it to space in a pretty freaking short window because they took money, they got the people, and they made it happen. You're telling me that we can't get a world government organization created and funded for the greater good of humanity to get this shit done before? Because my fear is, my paranoia is that Bezos or Tesla, Elon or Richard Branson, they're going to keep pushing that boundary, and they're going to get to the moon and stick a flag on it with the Amazon logo and say, I own it. And I know it's not that simple, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it is the new frontier, and
it is the colonization mindset, right?
Yeah, like it is. It's new imperialism,
right? It's taking a different form, but it's just history repeating itself. Well, one thing I will say on that is, I think you're totally right. Like I can't remember if it was a quote or if I heard it in a podcast or a book or something, but somebody was talking about how if people always assume like 10 years from now, we should improve in every sector of the world, or rather in every aspect of the world. So take space travel, right? But space travel really didn't improve before, significantly for the past 20 years or so. And until this is a pretty big feat here that just happened. But and the thought that I heard was in that podcast or book or whatever it was that, if you don't have the right people working on it, if you don't put the right resources behind it, if you don't have the right initiative, then things just don't improve. So, what is happening today, like in the world that's not improving, that we think is going to improve? Like I would say, there are tons of things, right? But space travel is one of them, and they just happen to do all those things. They put the initiative, they put the money behind it, they put the right people on it, the right talent, right people and everything, and we're able to accomplish it. And I think that to the second point of your question about why can't we just form something is, I think that people don't see the upside monetarily, right? I think it always comes back to that. And so like monetarily, I think that you can sell satellites for functionality. Sure. You can sell, but what can you sell, at least in the short term, that makes sense to put a lot of money in people behind it?
Yeah. No, and that's on
the moon. And
I think that actually ties back into your statement earlier about how we look at things and the things that we get upset about or passionate about as like the majority versus the things that are important and focus, like that the ultra rich can focus on. Like, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, truthfully, like, and I think you're right. Like, what the hell does it really matter to me and you if space gets colonized? Like, we're not going there, Mitchell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have that ability. We're not astronauts, and we're not ultra rich. So that's almost like it's a literal glass ceiling, but it's the atmosphere. And so, and that's the thing, right? So for them, it's like totally reasonable and totally something that they can pay attention to and fund and experience. But aside from astronauts and the ultra rich, like, what does it really matter to us? What is it going to provide?
I would say, I think what matters to us is actually the downside of it, because I would say let's say back, some people in the world were riding horseback, others had developed guns at the same time.
Sure.
And boats, right? They're colonizing another part of the world. You don't really care. You're riding your horses. You're maybe doing some farming. Maybe you started doing some tools.
It doesn't become a problem until it is a problem.
Right. And when it's a problem, it's too late. Right.
Exactly.
Well, if you see it coming, it's too late.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so,
it's weird.
It's interesting to think about. And I think another thing too is, Tesla's satellite network that they're setting up for satellite internet.
I don't know a ton about it, but
Starlink, if I recall correctly, is the name of the company or the subsidiary or the project, whatever you want to call it. And so they're beaming up a ton of satellites into orbit, and it's going to be satellite internet. The theory is going to be satellite internet anywhere. So a global Wi-Fi network,
right.
And there's some time to go before it's truly functional, and it requires a dish that you have to set up, and it auto rotates to the nearest one to get you the best signal. And you have to have open sky, and there's a whole lot of requirements now. 5 years though, 10 years though. Now Tesla owns, a network that literally
the internet
surrounds Earth. And those are the kind of like big picture things that I think we have to realize. It's like those are pretty existential endeavors, Like,
and again, like I think we're in the U.S. Tesla's a United States company. Like, that's good for us supposedly, right? But if you're another world power like China or
you want to compete with that,
right, and you're like, well, now you're in my airspace, right?
Exactly. And then also cybersecurity, that whole, infrastructure of Starlink is vulnerable, right? Like another country could hack into that network. Like, that is a possible thing. And so, there's all kinds of complications that go into that stuff, especially when you do these things, right? When you try to create a global network or a global anything.
It is imperialism. I mean, it is. It's the same thought as, we'll create a global trade network. It'll benefit everybody, right? Like, and then we get, wars over.
Exactly. And there will be wars to come. There will be wars to come. I really do think there are.
It's interesting because I think that the next war too will not be fought. It's not going to be a people thing, right? Like the United States spends a lot of money on that, but. And I'm just the dude talking, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Listen, man, guys, if you haven't caught the gist of the podcast already, it's just two friends just bullshitting. Like, we're just talking about our thoughts. Man. Like, we're not going to sit here ever and like really throw like metrics out at you and crazy research. We're just sharing our thoughts and opinions. But yeah, go ahead, Mitchell.
Where was I even going with that? But this next war, it's going to be a cyber war, right? Like,
I agree.
A jet will mean nothing when the infrastructure is taken down.
The radar doesn't work.
Hackers.
The comms don't work. They can't communicate and transfer data or get geographic coordinates sent or. Yeah.
Right. We'll just shut down. They can we'll do it to them or they'll do it to us. Like, just shut down some hospitals. We will shut down wastewater treatment so that nobody can do that. And then you starve, the supply chain.
You create chaos.
Can't get food, and then
you don't even need to, go after each other with guns or missiles. Yeah, you don't even need to at this point. Yeah, I think you're totally right. Cripple someone's infrastructure that all runs on electronic systems, and you've already kind of won. Like, you're at a huge, because in war, that's the goal, right? You take strategic points through military power to cut off supply lines, and they can just do that now with keystrokes. So, you're right. That is the next, I think that's the next, horizon of warfare, and like it's going to be fought digitally. It's going to be fought digitally, and it all ties together because these networks, they're being created, and so they have those vulnerabilities, and it's an interesting thing to talk about.
One thought that I talked about this with another friend, and I hope the police don't come knocking on my door here, but
FBI, open up.
Right now, I think it's an easy answer to this question that I'm about to ask, but in the future, it might not be so easy. If you had the chance to take out Jeff Bezos, would it be morally? Would you morally be responsible to do that? I think it's the same as if you had insert the name like Hitler there or something, right? Like people talk about that a lot, like kill Hitler as a baby or something.
Right. That's like the thought.
But like if you're in a room with them and you have the opportunity
to make that choice and alter history. So I mean, I like to fuck around with like these kind of thought experiments and things. I love talking about that stuff. But so it's a difficult question, and I think when you initially have that conversation, you say and this is why, or no, and this is why. But I think you have to remember that like time travel, timelines, like all of that stuff is so much more complex, and like quantum physics and like all this shit. It's so much more complex than just like yes or no, because you could say morally and ethically, yes, you go kill Hitler as a baby, perhaps you prevent the Holocaust. But if you kill Hitler as a baby, perhaps the reality that you create is worse somehow.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't know. And from a human mindset, because time is linear for us, based on our hardware and our brains and our perception, like we can only view time in a straight line. It starts here and it goes this way. And so we don't have the ability to kill Hitler as a baby and say that's a good idea, we should do that. Like it's morally and ethically probably a good idea, but like timeline wise, is that a good idea? Does it actually have a positive outcome, or is it a butterfly effect, where a worse outcome somehow presents itself? So I think the thing for me though is like Jeff isn't inspiring genocide or
not yet. As long as you're not a Amazon competitor.
As long as you have Amazon Prime, you're safe. All right. Safe. So everyone.
Oh man. As long as you're feeding the beast.
Oh God. Oh man. We're going to jail. But no, so I mean, and that's the thing though, right? Like they wield power, and that's what we kind of said earlier, what you said earlier is they wield power. They have influence, they have the ability to do things that governments can do because of that wealth and that influence and that network. And so, we have to hope that the people that have achieved that have a moral and ethical compass to not use that power in a negative way, that will affect all of us. And like you said, for right now, it isn't, right? For right now, things like Amazon and Tesla and Facebook and Instagram, I mean, well, Facebook has had some things with security or whatever, but for the most part, they enhance our lives, which is still the takeaway, I think. They enhance our lives. But an interesting thing that I was looking into the other day that I'll actually bring up here, I can't remember his name, but he is I forget the title they dubbed him, but he's basically like, I wouldn't say crypto entrepreneur, but he's like a digital entrepreneur. I'll see if I can find the article, and I'll put it below in the comments section if anyone wants to read it. But he was talking about his experience, and there was one really interesting part that stood out to me, and that was how things will be purchased in the next 10 years. And how the AI and software is going to understand us. And I thought it was crazy, because what he was saying is basically there's no longer going to be pull up the Amazon app on your phone or type it in your browser and log in, make a cart, shipping, billing, whatever. That's all going to be tied to your like digital account, your digital profile, which will be something that everyone will have, right? It'll potentially be one app or one thing. And you will just turn to your, whether it's Alexa or some other type of digital assistant, and you will say, I need a toaster. And that thing is going to order and ship you a toaster based on your preferences of color that might fit your kitchen, your price point, and your, financial abilities, right? So like if you're not in the best financial spot, maybe you don't get expedited shipping.
Right.
And maybe
you get the lower quality toaster, right?
But it's beyond that though. It's like it'll pick the color for you. Like it would know that I like more of a minimalist, like monochrome, black and white, stainless steel, wood grain, highlighting, like stuff like it'll know my taste and it will order something for me. I won't have to go look through the options. Yeah. And so
I think that's entirely. I almost think we're not far from that now.
No, we're
not. Ads, right?
No, we're not.
And that's you said about 5 years removed. I think that's pretty accurate. I would say. Yeah.
I think by the time we reach the year 2030, that'll be happening. That'll 100% be happening. You don't have to go and look. You like it will know you. The computer program will know you.
Yeah, because the incentive's there too, right? Like it's the incentive to sell more, to make it, to lower the barrier of payments, right? Like that's always the place where people drop off websites. It's like right at the pay screen. You're like, okay, well, am I really about to drop $20-$30 for this?
You want to cater to that impulse buy.
Yeah. Which lowering that barrier, all the incentives are there. I mean,
one sentence. I need a toaster.
Yeah.
Toaster is on its way. It'll arrive tomorrow.
Right.
Damn.
That's crazy. Yeah. And then it's a question of like, who are you even as a person? You know,
well, you're a profile.
Right.
And that's already happening.
You have all these data points, right? And every person, right? We're all humans. We're made up of the same data point. We might have different data on that data point, but we're all the same.
Have you seen The Social Experiment? I think it's on Netflix. I think that's what it's called. Have you seen that?
I have not. I know it's very popular. It kind of freaked me out. So
you should definitely watch it, but it is scary. It is scary.
Okay.
And it's talking about exactly what you're talking about, and it is already happening. So these companies, they're tracking all of those data points. How long you look at something, how often you're online, what you click on, when you click on it. They gather enough data that they know if you're depressed. They gather enough data to know if you're happy. They have found a way to reverse engineer people's buying cycles and habits to build a psychological profile of you as a customer. And that is what they sell to now. We're not buying projects. We're not buying products. We are the product.
Yeah, our data, right?
They're buying us.
Our eyeballs, right?
Yes,
which is
our attention.
Yeah, and I've heard that a ton. It's just, I think that's why I refrain so much from trying to be online in general.
Yeah, I feel
social media a ton. And it's but it's almost a necessary evil.
Oh, it
these days. You know,
it is 100%. It's unavoidable.
It's unavoidable. It's a utility is the kind of the word that I think a lot of people are throwing out right now. Social media, you know, and then that's also a question of like how much regulation should it have, right?
Totally.
And so it's both simultaneously, I guess, like exciting to see where the future goes, but also scary, man.
It is scary.
I'm more so scared. That's why I always say I'm going to live on a farm in the future. I think.
I don't blame you. I took a class in college. It was a psychology course, and my professor was amazing. Oh my God, what was his name? I would love to shout him out. I don't remember. If you ever hear this, I'm talking about you. But I loved him. He was my favorite professor or teacher I've ever had in my life. Such a smart guy, terrific teacher. And we talked about this back in like 2011, 2012, about how already back then, which was 10 years ago, that the internet was permeating our psychology and affecting the way that we perceive life and relationships and responsibilities and everything. It was we were becoming part of a singularity. We were becoming part of a global consciousness, unlike never before. Like in the past, that was religion. In the past, like that shared sense of connection was because you believed in the same religious thing. Now it's the culture of TikTok. It's the culture of Instagram. It's the culture of memes and jokes and shared, experience.
Just shared experiences,
that
right?
Content creators are providing, right? Like so many jokes that, I have with friends they're TikTok memes or they're, stuff like that. It's like internet content. And a lot of the social time that I spend with friends is in video games or, something like that, or watching shows together and talking about them. And that was not a thing 20 years ago, even.
Like, no, yeah.
Growing up,
it's hard to say which is better.
Right?
Is this better? Is
I don't know.
Hyper religious society better?
See, that's a whole nother topic, and I think we should save that for another episode. We'll make a note, guys. Remind us. That's a whole nother topic, and we're gonna have to walk on eggshells for that one. Just kidding. I don't give a shit. I will not walk on eggshells. I have very strong opinions on religion, but no. Yeah. So I think that for me, I think the detriment is that when you spend all of your time online, and this comes from someone who does spend most of his time online. I know you don't spend nearly as much time at a computer screen as I do, but I spend most of my time online, whether it's playing video games, watching stuff, talking with friends in Discord, work, all of it. I spend a lot of time online. And in comparison to my childhood, where if I wanted to spend time with a friend, I had to get on my bike, ride to their house, and ring their doorbell.
Right.
Or I had to get their phone number and call their house phone.
Call their home phone.
Hey, is Kevin home?
Right.
Oh, I think so. I think he's in the front yard. Okay. Hang up, ride a bike over, go find Kevin.
Right.
And there was something special about that, I think. Right. You had to make the effort to go find somebody, and then you would experience things along the way. Maybe you're riding your bike to Kevin's house, and then you see Max riding by on his bike. You're like, yo, where are you going? He's like, oh, everyone's over at Sid's. Okay, we're going over to Sid's now.
Yeah.
So, and then just life you're not, I don't know exactly how to phrase this. You're not fully in control of your circle or your experience when things happen in that way. With the digital world, you have a lot of control over what you experience and what you don't. I think that's what I'm trying to drive at. You have a friend list, you have a feed. You can tailor what you want to and don't want to interact with, and almost to a detrimental point, because then you're living in an echo chamber.
Absolutely, to a detrimental point. I mean, that's, if you hear this goes into politics and culture and whatever else, but and that's probably for another time too. But I mean, if you're hearing yourself just being echoed back at you, you're like, wow, well, that's such a great opinion. And it's also feedback that validates your own opinion. Right. And so it's like, okay, well, all these people who in reality, it's not all, it's like a few people who are just really loud on social media. Right. All those people feedback on you. Right. And you're like, okay, well, my opinion's right. Therefore opposing opinions are wrong.
Right.
And you don't see the nuance, right? Because to everybody, your own opinions are right, for however long, until a better one comes along, or until
someone changes your mind, or exactly.
We're fluid people, but it's you and I are fluid people, not everybody.
Unfortunately,
but, so it's definitely to a detriment there. I mean, it's
no,
it's hard to say what's better or worse, because I mean, the generation before us would say, oh, you guys, you're living cushy lives with your, your telephones, your TVs and your leather couches or whatever, right? Like it's, leather couch might be kind of,
sure.
But
that leather couch, man, saying, I mean, we're really,
it's better than those pelt skins. But it's, now we're saying it's not good to be so involved in TikTok or these other how life is today. But is it truly better? Right? They've always felt this way, every generation, right?
Yeah, of course. And I was talking to my dad. He was visiting last week, and I told him, like, I'm so thankful I live in this time. Like, the kind of person that I am, the kind of brain that I have, the kind of personality I have, it's great. Like, I have an infinite, like, it's like the Bo Burnham special. It's can I interest you in anything all of the time? Or it's something.
I still need to watch that. You told me
you have to watch that. So he has a song in there where he talks about the internet, and it's apathy is a tragedy and boredom is a crime. Can I interest you in everything all of the time? Is one of the lyrics.
Interesting.
And it talks about I mean, he's brilliant, but we'll talk about Bo Burnham another day, because I actually want to just talk about that special he did. Like, I just want to dive into that for a few hours. But those lyrics were so impactful to me because it's so true, right? Like, you have everything at your fingertips with the internet. all kinds of information, all kinds of content, and yet you still find that depression and anxiety rates are higher than they've ever been. You find that people are bored when anything is at your fingertips. So I think it comes back down to the human condition. And, you know, it's an interesting place that we find ourselves in, you know, as we I think we're hitting the peak of the information age, and we're going to be transferring into the next one relatively soon. But yeah, I don't know exactly what that age is going to be called, or what that big defining moment is that takes us, you know, because we went industrial revolution, industrial age, to manufacturing,
exponentially faster.
It's on a curve that's it's skyrocketing. And so, I mean, it's really interesting stuff. How did we get here from entrepreneurship? Holy shit.
I don't know, man. Well, you can get anywhere from Jeff Bezos.
That's true. You can get to space, man. You can get to space.
You can get to anywhere.
That's crazy. Awesome.
Side note, have you ever played the Wikipedia game where you you choose a topic and you start on one page and you try to get to another page just by clicking through?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I should show you sometime. It's pretty fun. You can start on the page like, I don't know, let's say Wells Fargo. I got this paper in front of me. That's why I bring it up. Wells Fargo as the Wikipedia page. And you try to get to like avocado. And you can only do it by any of the links on the page. So you go to like, great. You know, United States, then you go to like terrific, California, farming, agriculture, and then like get to avocado eventually.
That could be fun. No. That could be fun to do. That could be fun to do with listeners. If we decide to do this on a Twitch in the future, maybe we can find a way for people to participate. And give us things to try to get to. It could be fun. Yeah. Awesome. I love it.
Cool.
Well, I think that wraps us up for today. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for the inaugural episode of the Leave It Open podcast. It's Leave It Open because we're just going to leave it open. We're just going to talk about, you know, different ideas and different things and just let it float out into the world. We'd love to hear from you guys. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, email, comment on the video below, any way you want. We're in the digital space, which again, unfortunately, we just talked about it. And now I feel so weird about like plugging it. But
it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah. Basically, guys, you know, to sum it up, you know, it's leave it open because when you go to a bar and you open a tab, they said you want to leave it open. And that's kind of the whole vibe of this podcast, just to set it up for you a little bit, is it's open-ended, it's relaxed, it's casual. We want to hear from you guys, your thoughts and opinions. We hope you enjoyed listening today. Mitchell, anything, last thoughts?
No, thanks everybody for listening, and hopefully this podcast we get to a good audience sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you on episode 2. Make sure you check out Blow Me Candle. I'm going to plug them one last time. You get a 15% discount code below and somewhere here on the screen. Make sure to use that. Give them a shout on Twitter, on Instagram, and we will catch you guys soon.
Thanks everybody.